Hey, what's up, you guys? It's Caboose XP. I'll bring you another Injustice 2 video, and today we're going to be talking about a bunch of news that has come out for Injustice 2 regarding some of the gear in the game, what you can do with some of your gear, and just a ton of information worth talking about, and some stuff about microtransactions that I am going to get to later in the video. So, this interview took place on PlayStation Access. This was done with Derek Kurtzik, who's one of the lead designers over at NetherRealm, working on Injustice 2 right now. So if you want to watch the original interview for yourself, you can do so by checking the link in the description box below. And right before we get into the video, I wanted to ask you guys if we can get this video to 1,500 likes. I would really appreciate it, and it shows your support. So yeah, if we can get this video to 1,500 likes, that would be great. I would really appreciate it. So with that out of the way, let's jump into some of the main points that I picked up from this interview and just my overall thoughts on them. So one of the first things that was mentioned about the gear and what you can do with the gear is something that I'm sure most of you have picked up on through the Injustice 2 beta, and that was loadouts. So what you can do in the Injustice 2 game with the gear system is you can create 3 separate different loadouts for each of your characters. So let's say you got a bunch of offensive gear for Batman and it was really good for the strength of the character. That could be your first loadout for, say, if you're going up against a character who has a lot of health. You know, if you go up against a guy whose main loadout gives him a ton of health and a ton of defense, then you want to pick a character or a loadout for Batman that has a ton of strength. Then you can create another loadout that may have all those defensive properties. So that loadout of your Batman has all that extra health, has all that extra defense, and then you're going to find people maybe going up against that with their strength buffed characters. Then you can have a third loadout with whatever, and that's the whole idea of it, is you can create these 3 separate loadouts for each of your characters that you can mess around with the gear and do whatever you so please. For me, I was a little disorganized when I was playing the beta. I was kind of just picking gear that had the highest stats, so I'm going to get a little more organized and pay a little more attention when I get Injustice 2 and see how I can do this with gear and with the loadout. Now moving on, one of the things that they mentioned throughout this interview was about some of the shaders that you can get for these characters. They were actually showing off the shaders in the video, and there are a ton of shaders that you can get for characters. Now in the beta, there were only 3 that were available to you. The base shader, which is the normal colors for the character, a secondary shader, which is kind of changing up the colors but not too much, and then there was a third shader for each character that you can unlock by playing some games, and you get it randomly, in which you can see what these shaders can do and how much they can drastically change the color scheme of your characters. So it seems like in Injustice 2 there's going to be tons of these different colored shaders that you can unlock for characters, and I hope that you can unlock them a lot more frequently than you could in the beta. I understood in the beta, you know, there was only 1 extra shader for each character, so they were going to be a little more of a rare drop, but I hope with the amount of shaders that are going to be in Injustice 2, with the amount of characters that are going to be in Injustice 2, that the shader unlocks are going to be a lot more frequent. They also mentioned, once again, Premier skins, and Derek said specifically that there are going to be a bunch of Premier skins. He was talking about the Power Girl Premier skin for Supergirl, and he said, you know, there may be a bunch of these, and he's like, you know what, I know this, there are a bunch of these. You can expect a ton of Premier skins in Injustice 2, and I am so excited to hear that. You know, we're not just going to get John Stewart, Reverse Flash, and Power Girl. We're going to get much more than that, and hopefully some of those are going to be unlocks and not just DLC, and hopefully if they are DLC, then they're going to be free DLC, because that's what I like. You know, you get skins like that. I know sometimes they're going to be paid DLC, I get that, but hopefully there are some skins that we can unlock so that everyone can have that sort of experience and not have to have everything locked behind some sort of paywall. Now moving on, we also got some information about viewing other people's gear in Injustice 2. So if you faced off against somebody and they had some really good gear and you're wondering, like, what kind of gear did they have? Well, actually, you can see exactly that. Every time you face an opponent after a match, you can go and view their loadout and see what kind of gear they had equipped. So then you can write it down, see what kind of gear they had, and hopefully go on the hunt to try and get some of that gear. So the next piece of information was actually something I was very happy to hear, and something that I'm sure a lot of you guys are going to be happy to hear as well, and that was regarding re-rolling stats on pieces of gear that you obtained. So let's say you got a piece of gear for a character that's mainly based on strength. So you're getting gear for this character that you want to only be tailored to strength. But this new piece of gear that you get looks so awesome, but it only has a health buff, and that's the only stats that are on that piece of gear. Well, it seems like you can actually re-roll the stats of that gear. And now granted, it doesn't mean that your chances are guaranteed to get the stats that you like, but it does mean that you can re-roll the stats to get some brand new stats for that gear, and maybe there is a chance that you get the stats that you're looking for. Either way, I like that this is a feature. I like that this is something that is going to be in Injustice 2. Now the interesting question is, how many times can you re-roll the stats on a piece of gear? Is it just a one-time thing? Do you have to pay currency after that to re-roll once again? I wonder how that's going to work. That's going to be really interesting to see what that's going to be like come time for Injustice 2's release. Now, the last thing I felt worth mentioning about the gear system during this interview is gear sets. So Derek mentions the idea of having a set of gear for a character. Basically, if you unlock and obtain the entirety of a set of gear for a specific character, you can get a set bonus for that character. Now, what those bonuses may be, nobody knows. We're going to have to wait and see when we obtain that gear and equip it. But the idea is you get a bonus for having a bunch of the same gear equipped for your character. Now, here's the problem, and here's what I'm hoping they can fix with this idea. Let's say I'm a level 1 Batman, and I am trying to get the entire Batman Beyond set of gear. At level 1, I play a match, and I unlock this level 1 Batman Beyond helmet. Then I'm already at level 20 for that character, and I finally unlock the last piece of Batman Beyond gear to get that entire set. Is it even worth it at that point to equip that whole set for the bonus if my helmet is such low stats because it's a level 1 helmet? Now, the solution to this, and this is what I'm hoping they implement with the gear system in Injustice 2, is the idea of infusing and upgrading your gear into higher level gear. So let's say I have that level 1 Batman helmet, and then I unlock this level 20 Batman helmet that I don't really care about because I want to infuse the lower level one into the higher level one so that I can have that set be extremely useful to me. You have that choice. Maybe you spend a couple coins to do so, and then bam, I have a level 20 Batman helmet, and I have the set equipped, and the set bonus makes my Batman that much more powerful. That's what I'm hoping is implemented into Injustice 2 with the gear system. That'll make it much more fun to go out and try and get those sets, as opposed to like, well, why don't I just equip the highest gear that I possibly can get, because my level 1 Batman helmet is completely useless to me, even if I have it with the entire set bonus. Now, the last piece of information that I got for this video is a bit of a doozy. This is something in which I saw during this interview, and then I got very scared for Injustice 2's future and what could be going down for this game in terms of fan backlash. Now, there's a clip during this interview in which you see somebody decoding and opening up basically a loot crate for Injustice 2 gear, or a loot box, whatever you want to call it. In Injustice 2, they're calling it mother boxes. Now, there's 5 different tiers of mother boxes that you can get. There is a bronze one, a silver one, a gold one, a platinum one, and a diamond one. Seeing these mother boxes and seeing this opening had me very scared, because it almost seemed like this was it. This was the setup to microtransactions. Now, Derek was actually asked about this. You know, they said, hey, listen, there's all this in-game currency, there's all this gear. Is there going to be microtransactions? Is there going to be a pay-to-win service in Injustice 2? And Derek very confidently answered and said, no, there won't be a pay-to-win service in the game. You can't buy gear with real-life money. You can't buy these loot boxes with real-life money. The only way to earn gear is through grinding and using the in-game currency. And that has reassured me, because now this is the second official at NetherRealm who is saying this, that there won't be microtransactions in Injustice 2. Because at this point, with them saying this now twice now, that there won't be a pay-to-win service, if there still is come time the game's release, then people are going to go nuts. The fan backlash is going to be insane, and I don't think that NetherRealm would be prepared to take that kind of heat. You know, if there was microtransactions and that is a thing and there is a pay-to-win service, then at this point they would be saying stuff like, hey, listen, no comment. We can't really speak upon that right now. We don't really know what's going down for the game. We're going to have to wait and see. And then everyone can kind of just safely assume, oh yeah, there's going to be microtransactions in the game. It's going to be pay to win. And that sucks. But the fan backlash will have come and gone come time for the release of the game, and people will kind of slowly start to be forgetting about it. But at this point, with it being fresh in everyone's mind that there won't be microtransactions, if there still is, then oh man, there is a storm coming for NetherRealm, and it will not be pretty. So I feel like with Derek saying that there won't be microtransactions, with Ed Boon saying that there won't be microtransactions, I think it's safe to assume there won't be. This game will not be pay to win. Maybe there's going to be DLC, you know, buying skins or buying shaders and random things like that, but hopefully any sort of microtransactions or anything that you have to pay outside of the base game will be a purely cosmetic thing. Obviously not considering DLC characters, as that's something that we have come to expect with pretty much all fighting games nowadays. So with all that said, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. What do you think about all this information? Once again, if you want to see the original interview from PlayStation Access, you can check the link in the description box below. I'm Caboose XBL. Once again, if we can get this video to 1,500 likes, I would really appreciate it. You can click on screen to make your way to one of the other videos on the channel, or you can click my logo to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Please follow me on Instagram and Twitter, and like me on Facebook. Those links are in the description. Drop a like if you enjoyed, leave a comment if you have an opinion, and subscribe if you're new. See you guys later.